rocker arms. 4 of them. Okay. You gonna run those stupid oiler things on there?
No.
Okay, good. What's FX? Is this for
front exhaust?
For a new bike?
Yeah, exactly. It was your riding. Front, you were.
I've never heard of an RN. Is it a nurse?
Yeah, exactly. We just did nurse.
There's an RX. That's the drugs. FN, I think, is slang for a bad person. Okay, so we got FRRF. So we got front, we got rears. This one appears to be the front. There's an F on it too. So these ones go on here. They go down there like that.
Some assembly lube in there?
No, it'll be dry, let them burn up. So the customer's telling us about you being over-centered when you're doing the push rods.
Mm-hmm.
So your push rod comes in here at an angle.
Right.
About here. So see how close to center point you are at 90 degrees?
Mm-hmm.
That's because your valve has been ground way
Yeah.
deep. They were over here originally, probably.
Mm-hmm.
So now when you go up to really high lift, it'll go up. It gets definishing. The angle gets really bad on the cup, and the actual push rod tries to come out at high lift.
Mm-hmm.
And with heavy valve springs, it's a lot really hard on the tips. So yours being ground a lot are definitely not the best situation. There are, now see, that one is at 90 degrees right now. That's worse than this one. So that one's not too good. So we're going to do that because we had to grind a lot. And you have what put on the cam? You got a 4. What was our valve lift? What's 1.5 on that? And light went off.
I'll take it back on.
So that's roughly about 300 thou cam lift. Guessing. 1.5 to 1 ratio. You multiply that by 1.5 and it'll give you a number, or divide by 1.5, whatever the hell it is. One of those two numbers. It'll give you a number that matters. This one's flush. This one is not quite flush, but close.
So this one's the front intake.
2 of them are flush. This one's almost, and this was your best one here. Because one we have a new arm on it, so this is probably the new arm. So that's probably where it stopped.
Are they all the old ones?
Yeah, but that didn't have the screwed up end on it.
Right. So yeah.
On my race bike, what I did, I put them way down here, starting,
Mm-hmm.
because I have 675 load.
Right.
It was only a 1.4 rocker ratio, so it really moves a lot. It's 450 cam lift. So you get a lot of cam lift. So it's got a lot of movement. So you have to come down 200 thou to start here to end that much on the other side.
Wow.
Because I was starting basically like this,
Mm-hmm.
went up 400. It was, when you're all done, it was pushing like this, and the push rod just getting all
Right.
trying to come out. It was turning up the push rod tip, and it was eating up the rocker tip a little bit too. It was really killing the push rod though, because the push rod's softer than the rocker.
Sure.
So your motor being 200 more lift up, it's going to come up 200 thou. So if you know what 200 thou looks like, you have to check it. There we go. So if you go 90 degrees and go up 200 thou, you're about there.
Mm-hmm.
You're still well within your cup.
Right.
My bike, I was like up here. It was like this.
Wow.
So it was trying to come out.
Yeah.
It was pretty bad. So this isn't the best situation, but it is what it is. Panheads have horrible rocker geometry, and they always have been.
Mm-hmm.
They haven't changed. They have horrible rocker geometry. If you don't like it, don't have a panhead. Buy an S&S panhead. They take shovel style rocker arms. Don't mix those. You wanted some of this, you said?
I think it'd be wise.
Enough of that. I don't want to overdo it. Doesn't fit. Look at that.
Beautiful.
Got a hole in it. It's a place for the oil leak out. It leaks out of there, squirts up, hits the cover, and then goes everywhere. Cuts the oil pressure. You got too much oil pressure, it gets rid of it.
Mm-hmm.
We all know panheads have too much oil pressure.
Right, yeah, exactly. Real problem.
Yeah. Makes a lot of noise, doesn't it?
It does.
Got quiet. So for really high lift applications, I go in there and modify these holes, these grooves.
Open it up.
The first thing I do, I put a line between here and here,
Oh, really?
so the oil can bypass.
Mm-hmm.
Then you lengthen the groove here, so when you get really high lift,
It spreads
the
further.
the
Right.
hole will stay open.
Right.
It doesn't shut off at high lift. Because really high lift will actually shut the hole off.
Wow.
So, I don't want the oil to go way at high RPM. High
No.
lift. I mean, that's
Exactly.
where I need it the most.
Yeah.
So, didn't want to modify things a little bit. Oh, forgot to do something. I never like dry tips. Okay, where's your nuts?
The bag of nuts is somewhere. I'll do it.
I found them. There's a bag full. There you go. Nuts. I found the missing nuts too.
Oh, you did? No.
Yep. We got nuts that aren't right. We got new nuts I just bought. Got some old nuts I bought. Tap. And fancy nuts I bought a while ago. Remember I told you I had 100 in each one I bought? I found them. And these are the ones that were left that we don't have anymore. There's the last of the ones I had before. So this is a lock-in style nut that cuts into the thread. That's how they do it. Oh, these are not the correct ones. This is the type that they squeeze in.
All right.
Mechanical, I really screws the thread that bad.
Yeah.
These ones here have the serration cuts in them, so they're more flexible. So it has a steady pressure on the thread, but it's not binding up and gulling it like these other nuts will.
Right.
These ones will tear up the threads because they're super high pressure on
Yeah.
them.
It's like a
And
triangle.
once it bends it out, it stays there. This one here is like a spring. It always
Right.
has tension on
Mm-hmm.
it. It's a flex lock nut, so it flexes. So these are better. So these are factory ones are real thin, which means they strip out. So those are the thin ones. These ones are tall. That means these are the incorrect ones. These are jam nuts. These are full nuts.
Mm-hmm.
Boom. So these are not available anymore because of the people don't like making new parts this year. So you can't buy this anymore. These ones here were hard to get too, but I did get another box of those. Only this company had them. Here's that company.
Mm-hmm.
MSC. These ones here. I forget where I get them from. Somewhere else. These are the ones I just
This
bought.
is MSC as well.
These are tall ones. Yep, there you go. MSC, but these are unplated. You can still get these.
Mm-hmm.
So these don't have the fancy CAD plating on them.
That's fine.
So these are more California friendly because they don't have the cadmium plating. The cadmium is very deadly to you.
Exactly.
So we're going to use these unplated ones here.
Thanks
Now,
for considering my health.
Hopefully they will not rust inside the oil-infested motor environment that these are going to be in. But if you notice, the full nut takes advantage of the full thread that we put in there. So we can torque these down more before they strip the nuts out. Because the other ones I was stripping the nuts out when you torqued this
Oh,
out.
right.
Yeah. They were inferior quality. These do not use any Loctite because they're already a locking nut.
Mm-hmm.
So we set up all of these heads to run these inferior tall nuts. The other advantage of a tall nut, you don't have the stud sticking out to put a big hole through the felt.
Right.
It's supposed to be underneath the cover. Are they under there?
Yeah. There's some stuck in there.
Oh, there they are. They're stuck in there already. Now those are in there for noise suppression only. Don't let anybody else tell you something different. Because having a wet diaper above your rocker arm is not going to help anything. So making the motor run any better. And the spray bar things that kind of lightly hit on the side of the collar, I have no idea what they're supposed to do. It's a drip thing. It's supposed to, all the oil's bouncing all through here. It's supposed to collect on the top of this little funnel tube thing, drain down it, and go right on the tip. How did the oil get up on top of that, dumbass? It's all over the place.
Right.
It's already lubricated. It's stupid. Especially when you got the late ones that got the hole in here, it's really spewing
Right.
everywhere. Jeez. It's already gushing out the sides here. Now it gushes out another hole they put in there. Dumps all the oil pressure you top in, turn it to the motor. Wonder why the motor has no oil pressure. There you go. Some dumbass like me actually tightened the holes of clearances up, so maybe it'll have some oil pressure.
Mm-hmm.
You also speeded the oil pump up too to get more oil
Exactly.
pressure. And you tighten the gaskets up too.
Yeah.
There you go. Okay, now these are limited supply. I only got 100 of these. So. But luckily we have 100 of the illegal CAD ones. The out-of-state bikes.
Exactly.
We're okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's why I did them. So it only took me about 8 months to find the missing box. But there you go.
Put that here.
I found it.
Don't lose it again.
I stick it right next to that other motor I'm supposed to work on. Okay, so now we have good heads, good studs, and good nuts. So we should be able to torque the snot out of these, right?
Mm-hmm. That's the plan.
Okay, that's the plan. We get a plan. Right. Factory torque?
Tatro torque.
Oh, factory torque. Zip gun torque. There it goes. Am I playing my tools again?
Not me.
Sure feels like it's got no air pressure to it.
Ears on.
It was on once. Yeah, we're only torquing panheads, it doesn't really matter. Okay, these ones don't have any tight spots in them. Now the panheads are held with dowels, so sometimes they get a little hard to rotate after you do put them in.
To knock them around a little bit.
You knock them with a hammer a little bit on the side. Centers them up. Free it up a little bit. No drag now. It was free, but you can feel the oil drag on it. So after I set it up a little bit, it's definitely real free. Makes a difference. You know, somebody was screwing my torque wrench. They decided to take all the torque off it for me. So we were at 215, 220. Yeah, how to read the damn thing. Yeah, it's got a number on it. What's 220? We got 240. 250. That's 250. It's supposed to be 240. 240 divided by 12. 20 foot-pounds. That sucks. 250 divided by 12. 21 foot-pounds. That still sucks. No wonder I go more on what these numbers are. That's a stupid torque wrench. I thought it was like 23 or 4 foot-pounds of torque you're supposed to torque too. Yeah, whatever. Evo torque with a panhead. Alright, let's see how crappy my torque wrench is right there. So, is it going to be tight or is it going to be loose? Oh, I think it's torqued.
Sure.
Round off. See, I have a different socket I use for this. See, it's tight to get in here. It's nice.
Oh, yeah.
It doesn't really fit in there.
Got a cut down one?
Yeah, I got a special one I made. I have a lot of specialty sockets.
Exactly. Oh, okay.
I cut it down.
Mm-hmm.
So see how this one won't sit in there square?
Mm-hmm. Perfect.
It's still a little bit up, but it's a lot closer. Some blocks have a lot of clearance, other ones do not have any clearance.
Oh.
The earlier ones really don't have much clearance. It appears to be tight. I'm thinking somebody might have over-torqued these. I don't know who would do that.
No.
How tight is it? Oh yeah, it's good. See, that's just to let you know it's getting tight.
Right.
And then you tighten it.
Give it a little
it's
more.
tight. That one actually is pretty tight. You got Tatro torque right there, so a little extra. I have a certain pull I like having on things. That one's over torqued. You can move it all. That one moved a little bit. That one's good. That one's good. Yeah, that one's good too. Yep, that one's not moving. Yeah, that was pretty tight. Some of these, a couple of these might be a little bit too much tight. Yeah, that's good. See, I know my torque wrench, it works good.
Exactly.
I'll just throw that over there. Break it over there. So somewhere between 23 and 25 foot-pounds. Unless you over-torqued it and it's 28. Whatever. Okay, so they're nice free, so see how free they are, feel them?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Like I said, using the colony studs and the hole in the tall nut, full height, we're able to pull them down this much torque and not worry them come apart.
Right.
And with the STD head, they got very strong alloy,
Mm-hmm.
so you don't have to worry about pulling out the base either. So you can over torque the snot out of this stuff, get good torque on it. You don't have to ever worry about this stuff coming loose like it did on Ryan's bike where it ripped everything apart.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
So good hardware, good parts, work good. You're not gonna hurt the blocks any because we torqued them down with bolts and probably over torqued them too.
Right.
So they're made to be flat and tight. So you're not gonna compress the brass or steel.
Mm-hmm.
It happens. So being tight means it just doesn't move. You
Sure.
don't want to move. So we're good to go on that. Now the gaskets, you got to put enough gaskets in here to have it just above the height of the head.
Yeah, we're gonna do a thick one.
So you are, if you didn't run any gasket at all, this would be perfect. So you just barely had a little squeeze on it. So basically it's like putting your finger on a bell. If you touch it, it doesn't ring. If you don't touch it, it rings like crazy. That's all you're doing here. You want some tension on it. We're going to put the thick gasket in there, and then we have to do some other stuff. Alright, that's it for now. Do that.